A former chairman of the House of Representatives Ad Hoc Committee on Fuel Subsidy, Farouk Lawan, has been jailed 7 years for bribery. Farouk Lawan has been standing trial for over 8 years on 3 counts of demanding bribe and obtaining $500,000 from businessman Femi Otedola. Justice Angela Ataluka found the former legislator guilty of all 3 counts of bribery based on the pool of evidence before the court. The judge dismissed Lawan's claim that he received the $500,000 to obtain proof of moves by Otedola to induce him and members of his committee.
It's very clear we are clearly dissatisfied with the judgment delivered by the court for very serious legal issues, and there is no doubt that we are appealing the judgment in every respect. We are going to the Court of Appeal, and there's the option constitutionally open to us, and we are going to explore it to the full.
The trial of Farouk Lawan has spanned 9 years. In 2012, Lawan, who was the chairman of an ad hoc committee set up by the House of Representatives to investigate reported massive fraud in the administration of petrol subsidy, was accused of receiving bribes to clear some companies. The committee indicted a number of companies, one of them Xenon Petroleum and Gas, owned by businessman Femi Otedola, of employing fraudulent means to defraud the federal government. In a sting operation involving the State Security Service, Otedola and Lawan were recorded on camera exchange about $500,000. Lawan was said to have demanded $3 million from Otedola to remove his firms from the list of companies indicted. The video showed Lawan receiving $500,000 instead. Within these 9 years, 3 judges have handled this case, including Angela Ataluka, who delivered the judgment.
Arise News analyst Mahmud Jega joins us now to discuss this. Mahmud, glad to have you join us on the program. There's a maxim, just as delayed is just as denied. Do you think that this holds true with this judgment?
It is terrible because imagine it took 8 years when you see the evidence should have made it an open and shut case, because this bribery matter was recorded secretly on video, and according to the prosecution, the DSS provided marked dollar notes which you collected. I mean, that case should have taken 3 days, if you ask me. Well, you can imagine it took 8 years to come to judgment, and it could still linger because the lawyer is talking about appeal. Exactly.
Absolutely.
Yes.
What do you think is the significance of this case, and more importantly, the final outcome? 7-year judgment trial. Yeah.
Unfortunately, it is but a drop in the ocean, because these kinds of things are taking place in Nigeria almost on a daily basis. Unfortunately for him, this member of the House of Representatives, who was supposed to be smart, and even the chairman of the Integrity Committee in the House, he took on the wrong horse, because he tried to take on a very big billionaire businessman who was well connected to the administration at the time, who easily secured the cooperation of the DSS to mount a string operation, to come and mount a camera in the room where the money was going to be handed over. And they also gave. Now, most other bribery cases in Nigeria probably cannot be as easily proven, because you don't have that kind of
connection.
Connection, exactly.
Is it a dent of the National Assembly in terms of the National Assembly's reputation, and is it a plus for the anti-corruption war?
Well, quite possibly this was not the only case, but you can imagine how disappointed the whole country was, because billions, hundreds of billions of naira was thought to have been siphoned away by crooked businessmen through the subsidy regime. And we were happy that the National Assembly was going to probe the whole scam and bring the culprits to book, only for it to end as another case of bribery. Very disappointing. Very disappointing.
Okay. What amount of, let's even have it this way. Let me ask you, what was the outcome? There was a public hearing. There was a hearing, at least, on this whole petroleum subsidy brouhaha. You know, was any amount of money even recovered? Were people convicted? Or is it all what you would call blowing in the wind?
Unfortunately, this bribery episode overshadowed
Yeah.
the whole assignment of probing the subsidy scam. Although still some people were charged to court. I remember there were some people, including some who were said to be children of some PDP chieftains at the time, who were charged to court. But I doubt if those cases were ever completed. Personally, I haven't heard anything about it since then, and certainly we didn't see the full report.
And of course, Lawan's claim that he accepted the money in order to expose blackmail didn't seem to have convinced the court. And then bear in mind also that Otedola's firm that was alleged to have been owing the government about $1 million, would it be logical that Otedola would agree to bribe anyone to the tune of $3 million if all he was owing the government was $1 million?
In fact, before you just continue to answer, I wanted to add to that. Where does all this leave Otedola?
Yeah.
Well, the trouble is, since he cooperated with the authority, you see, if you reported, if two of us were seen to have conspired to do something, but I told the police or the DSS beforehand, I am covered somehow, except if the report of the investigation now indicted his farms. That would be a separate issue. But in this particular case of bribery, he is free, really, because he told the police beforehand, and they even gave him mark notes to give to the members.
As a matter of fact, the legislators then actually removed Otedola's firm from the final report. So he got what he wanted at the end of the day. All right, thank you very much. Mahmud Jega joining us on Newsnight. All right.